Good morning, America, or good morning, agents of America. How's everybody doing this morning? I'm super excited, as always. When am I ever not excited about today's presentation? But today is a topic that I have always just had a significant soft spot for. So I'm excited for it, which is creating a mindset of mastery. Mindset is everything in business and in life, both on our personal lives and in our business life. And mindset is what drives our why. And I didn't want to name this presentation or topic coming from your why or the big word why or what is your why, because the problem that I have with a lot of different industries or speakers out there is when we always tell people what's your why, or they go to a presentation to learn their why, but they weren't told what's behind the why to really truly develop their why. And I didn't want people also, I've been to a presentation where they helped me figure out why I want to work so hard and I want to create a legacy for my children and blah, 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 or whatever the reason is. So I wanted it to be called Creating a Mindset of Mastery, which is what fuels your why. Y plus W multiplied by 0 equals question mark, or Y plus W multiplied by O actually equals question mark. What is my little formula there? Well, my formula is you, yourself, your reflection, what you see when you look in the mirror, but you plus your why multiplied by opportunities in life is what equals success. So it takes you, then it takes your why, and if you really have both of those, then every single opportunity that will come to you in your life, you will be able to take advantage of that opportunity if you know your why. Otherwise, there are so many opportunities that I've seen hit people in their life and they didn't take advantage of it because they don't even really know what they're going after and why they're going after it to begin with. So it takes you plus your why multiplied by opportunities. And the reason I say multiplied is we're given so many opportunities in life, not just one. And so when you multiply it over and over and over again, it leads to extraordinary success. What do we mean by success? Does that mean money? It can. We definitely can be successful with money. But when I say success, I always want to remind my audiences, we're not just talking about money. You can be successfully an authentic person in life. You could have reached great success being at peace in life. You could have reached great success just being a positive person in life, which is not easy to do. Or you could also have great success because of wealth and money. But success has so many different meanings. And it's also the opportunity to be successful in those different categories in our life and not just always thinking about money. As always, take notes for today's presentation so you can always go back and reference. And just a couple quick announcements. Again, our Q&A session will be at the end of the call today. P.S. Don't be shy to ask a question. As I've said before, only I can see your question. You're not, I don't want you to feel embarrassed or anything like that. You know the saying, right? No such thing as a stupid question. Well, unless the question is there any such thing as a stupid question? Then I guess there's a stupid question. But if that's not your question, then just ask whatever questions you want. I am the only one that can see it. I will not call you out. I will simply answer your question. Again, to all my students who were on the last call, please tell me in the chat box to the right how you applied our last lesson. I've heard from many of you via email and text messages, but if you feel, if you can, please go in the chat box, and just say how you kind of applied or different things that you've done within your LinkedIn for building your reputation and network. And remember, that was just 1.0. There's 2.0 and 3.0 still to come down the road. While you're doing that in the chat box, I want to talk about kind of going into today's presentation, what I call the Octagon of Life. So there's boxing, there's also mixed martial arts and the UFC. And I know a lot of people know the UFC. I'm not saying you have to like the UFC or you have to like watching boxing. What I'm saying, though, is in the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter, mixed martial arts, which they call MMA, the fight, instead of being in a boxing ring with ropes, right, it's actually in a cage, and that cage has 8 sides to it. And the two fighters, whether women or men, go head to head. And if it's a title fight, it's 5 rounds instead of what boxing is 10, 12, or 15 rounds for the past 100 years. MMA has 5, and usually it's 3 rounds unless it's a title fight. Unless it's a big fight, then they have to go for 5 rounds. And they are in what we call the octagon. Well, I consider life being an octagon. And we're born in this octagon. We're born in this cage of life. And that's where we get our adversity, right? So I developed a presentation that isn't today. However, some of today is part of that presentation. And the presentation that I kind of came up with is my Inspired to Motivate presentation, where I kind of show audiences that when we're born in this cage, when we have this adversity of life and we're in this octagon, we have 5 rounds of life, right? Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5. 5 key rounds, and it's what we do in those rounds of life that lead to our legacy. Round 1 is the size up, right? It's the size up of life, how we are tested. We're tested right out of the gate in life, whether it's fueled by family or it's fueled by friendship or it's fueled by just issues in the world. We're immediately tested the second we're born into this world. So throughout our first part of our life, it's round 1, size up, how we are tested. Round 2 is mindset, which we're going into today. Round 2 is that mindset on how we respond to how we are tested in life. Round 3 is accountability, how we learn from maybe the mistakes or lessons we've learned in round 2 or round 1 is now it's our accountability, how we learn and realize that it's all up to us. We are in control of our life. So how do we actually learn from previous lessons? Round 4 is heart, how we overcome all adversity. See, if we've sized it up and then we have a mindset on how we're going to respond, and then we hold ourselves accountable and we learn from previous rounds, now our heart is going to kick in to overcome the past as well as overcome anything in the future. And then, of course, round 5, because of round 1 through round 4, round 5 is how we finish and how we succeed and win in life. And all of these rounds that led up to round 5 being our win, now our legacy. See, your true life's legacy is what we do with the success. See, how do we respond to whatever success we have? What do we do with our wealth? What do we do with our positive mindsets? Is it just for us to enjoy, or do we try to help others with our success? So that's where our true legacy comes into play. So look for this presentation also as one of the topics in the future where I'm going to dive deeper into it. Or if you see in my speaking calendar on Giordano.global that I'm coming to a city near you soon, or in Q1 or Q2 of next year, and you look over the topic and the topic is Inspired to Motivate, might be a presentation you want to get to. All right. creating a mindset of mastery. What is the power of the mind, first of all? See, I've always said that I believe that everybody in life is as rich as possible. As rich as possible. Why? Because we all have the most priceless, invaluable product in our hands. It's our brain. Meaning, there is nothing else on the face of planet Earth that is more valuable than the brain. Brain transplant, you can't buy a brain, right? There's nothing that is even close to it. And the average human being only uses an extremely small percentage of what the brain has in potential. It has been scientifically proven that humans could communicate brain to brain. It has that potential. It's also been proven that the human eye has the eyesight of an eagle. It's just that we can't tap into our true potential that's behind our eyeball. We can't tap in to the true potential of the brain's ability. It's just not possible yet, I believe, and that's a big yet. So creating a mindset of mastery, how do we take advantage of the most priceless gift that all of us all hold, and that brain has the same ability to the next person next to you? Some just use it differently. So let's talk about the growth mindset. I'm sure some of you have seen this graphic before in presentations or Google or wherever you were looking. A growth mindset is all about these statements that you see. Failure is an opportunity to grow. I can learn to do anything I want. Challenges help me to grow. My effort and attitude determine my abilities. Feedback is constructive. I am inspired by the success of others. That one is huge. I like to try new things. See, this is all powerful statements and powerful philosophies of a growth mindset. However, many in this world have the opposite of a growth mindset. See, the percentage of people who truly have a growth mindset is less than 10% of the world. So what is the opposite? The opposite is something you call a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset. It's fixed to these certain things and it doesn't allow itself to open its mind. So instead of failure as an opportunity to grow, it becomes failure is the limit of my abilities. I failed. That must be my limit. I'm not trying again. I don't even know why I tried in the first place. I don't even know why I didn't listen to all my family and friends who told me, oh, don't do that. You're going to fail. You'll be so heartbroken. I had dreams. I don't want you to have the same failure I had. So failure must be the limit of my abilities. Or the growth mindset, once again, I can learn to do anything I want, but the fixed mindset, I'm either good at it or I'm not. My abilities are unchanging. The growth mindset, challenges help me to grow. My effort and attitude determine my abilities, but the fixed mindset, I don't like to be challenged. I can either do it or I can't. My potential is predetermined. Oh, I cannot stand that attitude. I've heard it in so many people in the past. My potential is predetermined. And you'll hear people make those statements, right? Well, you just had it easier. Or you didn't have it as hard as I did. Or you've been handed everything on a silver platter, and that's why you're successful. Not me. Everybody knows I by far wasn't given anything on a silver platter. But meaning hearing people say these statements to others in life. Your potential is up to you, period. We already just talked about, we've all been given this amazing gift, which is the brain, and how powerful it really is to overcome anything. I like to try new things. I stick to what I know, right? I'm inspired by the success of others. Feedback and criticism are personal. See, that's the difference of a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. That's what leads me to always tell my audiences, if you don't know your why, you will never find your what, how, when, where, and who to get you to whatever you want to achieve in life. See, that's where I wanted to come up with a way to say it that was simple. If you don't know your why, you will never find your what. Meaning, what do you even want to achieve in life? It doesn't matter if you don't know why you want to achieve it. How you're going to achieve it. You will not be able to find the how if you don't know your why. When you're going to achieve it, meaning creating benchmarks and goals to hit certain goals by certain times. You won't even know when you want to achieve whatever you want out of life if you don't know your why. Where you want to achieve these different goals in your life. Business, just money, personal, spiritual, faith. You won't know where unless you know your why. And last, and if not one of the most important, your who. See, no one succeeds alone in life. No one. We all have leverage. We all need other people. Some of the most successful people in the world, if you were to ask them, what are a handful of people that are the reason you're where you're at today, they could name them off in seconds. Because we've all just had this very small group of people that have come into our life that changed it for the better. But you'll never find those who's or identify that they were a who that could have helped you get to the next level if once again you don't know your why. Some of the things that have come in my life along the way that have helped me develop my why or redevelop my why as it has changed over the course of my life. Certain books, without question, have led to creating or developing my why, as well as just having a stronger mindset. You know, I know I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the book, The Miracle Morning. You know, it's definitely an amazing book that gets you to think differently. A dear woman to me who is like a mother to me, Mo Anderson, who wrote the book, A Joy-Filled Life. If you really want to know the power of why, definitely read that book because she's helped many figure out their true passion. As she says, life without passion is useless. Business without passion in your business is useless. So in books like this and in my life, I have, always wanted to come out with my own book. That isn't a book about social media that some of you have read, or video marketing or digital media, or a book, that I wrote about how to help, implement certain technology in your business, or something that's going to lead to more production or productivity. A lot of people have been asking me, when are you going to write the book that's more of the inspirational book, or your story, your biography, that we've all heard a little snippet of, but we haven't heard the true transparent story of just everything that you've gone through in your life from childhood. And it's leading up to it. I'm writing it, but I believe, and I'm not saying that this is the title of it, I'm not going to tell you the title of it, but I believe that in life, there are 5 key moments that our life has that are the big moments that define us. You know, and there's 10, there's 2 moments, there could be 20 moments, but I believe that there's 5 main moments in life that define us. And these moments can change. They're not going to go away, but if something else significant happens, it might move into the top 5, and something else might just be one of your secondary moments. But the main 5 critical moments in your life that defined you and how you responded, kind of like those 5 rounds that we talked about in the Inspired to Motivate lesson that I have. And I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to tell you 5 main moments of my life that have led to developing my why and who I am today. Number 1, right out of the gate, abandonment. You know, there's nothing worse than when a child is abandoned by one of his or her parents right out of the gate. See, what did we talk about? Round 1, size up, how we are tested. Immediately tested in life and realized life is not safe. Life is not a protective little bubble. Anything can happen. So for me, it was abandonment. By the age of 2, my biological mom gone. See you later. So the things that actually were to take place in my life after that were all very significant behind being abandoned. Now, that same abandonment for someone else could be that they lost a parent, maybe to death, whatever it might be, or something tragic happened in their life. But for me, that first main moment that I didn't even know, right? I'm just 2, so I just grew up thinking that, well, that's life. It's not until we reflect on the past that we understand these significant moments in our life. So for me, it was moment 1, abandonment. That's going to have its own 5 rounds now. How I'm tested, how I respond, holding myself accountable. That's going to have literally 5 rounds in itself. Moment 2 is when I realize unconditional love, but on one condition, right? So I was raised with this thought that it's all about unconditional love. Yet there was always just this one condition. And I'm not going to go into it, but I'll give you an example. You know, Tony, we have nothing but unconditional love for you as long as you do this, or as long as you never do this. See, so for me, it was the moment when I realized that even the people who tried to teach me unconditional love always had conditions on it. The beginning of my legacy was the 3rd main moment of my life. What do I define as the beginning of my legacy is when my 2 sons were born, Michael and Christopher. My firstborn is Michael. And there's no question that when you have your first child, you look at it and look at life completely differently at that point. And that's when I knew that the things that I'm going to have to do from this point on are going to have to be for them before myself. It's no longer about me. It's going to be about them. And there were critical decisions I had to make in my life that had to do with actually moment number 2 and moment number 1. I had to now make these decisions, as hard as they were going to be, to make sure that it never happened to my sons, so that I could create a legacy for them and pave the roads to at least make their goals easier in life. I'm not going to hand it to them on a silver platter, but I'm definitely going to provide guidance at a higher level than what was provided to me. Moment number 4, hands down, September 11th. See, this day, September 11th, 2001, including, I'm sure you, changed me as a human being. It changed, if anything, I remember my mom saying, well, if anything, you're definitely becoming a man over it. I remember that morning like it was yesterday, as I'm sure you do. But it just made me realize so much in this world and so much in this life, regardless of what was behind that day. We're not getting into that. It's just the fact that it happened and what came after. And I was even a full-time firefighter at the time as well, working at a station. I remember it again like it was yesterday, and going back to the station when we all got put on call that grim morning. But it made me value life. It made me value safety and protection. It made me realize what was important in life. It made me become more patriotic and supporting whatever I can to help change this world for the better, regardless of belief systems. Everyone needs to change this world for the better. Everyone needs to try to leave this world better than they came into it, regardless of what the master plan is. And when the master plan happens, if and when it happens, what are you doing personally to make this world better? And September 11th defined me for that. And last but not least, there goes everything, is when I lost everything in the 2008-2009 crash. And I had to completely reinvent myself. And a lot of you have heard that story. But that was definitely a moment. And the thing that mostly came out of that moment, hands down, was when I realized I haven't done anything yet. I haven't achieved anything. $1 million a year, every toy you could possibly think of, 18 homes, staff. I'm an owner of several different companies or ventures. That didn't achieve anything. I had not proved myself to anyone, I thought, as well as even myself. Why? Because anybody could get a home loan back then. Those were the days where I was a mortgage broker. You just had to be breathing. So all this amazing success I had, to me, is when I lost it all, it made me realize I haven't done anything yet. I have not proven to the world what I can do yet, because it was too easy to do the first time. So that made me the person I am today. And as hard as it was to go through, and I'm not getting into all of that right now, and all the different things that continue to happen and be thrown at my face throughout 08 and 09, I didn't let it take me down. If anything, I allowed it to fuel my rebuild. However, as hard as it was, I learned from it. See, and I'm glad it happened, because it's changed my approach to a lot of different things that I do today, and my decision on how I invest in things, or when I think it's the right time to buy something, or what another person is doing and not caring, because I'm not going to try to keep up with the Joneses or all the stupid things that I did before. So again, it was a life lesson that I'm glad that it happened. But a few things happened during that last moment that led to rebuilding and my success today, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So let's go back to the power of the mind, right? There are three main sections of the brain, and you're going to hear somebody call it the golden rule in a little bit here. But there are three main aspects to the brain. And the one that is the critical section is the limbic brain, right there in the middle, the purple. Emotional or feeling brain. This is where our emotion comes from. Limbic, I want you to remember that, this core part of your brain. As you can see, when you break down that core, a lot of things are in this list right here that are the most important, right? Relays information, memory conversion, emotion, homeostasis, which is actually our equilibrium and the human body's ability to be stabilized or keep a 98.6 temperature, all coming from the limbic system. But that emotion, the ability to make decisions and feeling, that all comes from this section of the brain. So there's an extraordinary individual and author named Simon Sinek. And some of you have heard me talk about him, and I've watched probably every single video he has on YouTube, probably at least 10 times each, if not more, over the course of the last, I'd say, solid 11 years. Definitely solid the last 10 years. And he teaches people the power of their why as well. And he teaches many different facets of the why, not just what is your why, like why do you wake up in the morning, but even the way we approach life and coming from various whys. And he has a book called Start With Why, How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. Well, you're your own leader. You know, it's why I've told people that anybody should read John C. Maxwell books, even though John C. Maxwell books everybody thinks are written to being a better leader or a manager or a broker owner, meaning you're in a leadership position. You're your own leader as well. We all need to be better leaders. We need to be better leaders for our clients, our children, ourselves. So I think everybody should have leadership books in their arsenal. However, how great leaders, meaning you, inspire everyone, the people in your life, to take action. Yeah, well, it starts with you. And he's even got a book, Find Your Why, as well. Not just Start With Why, but he's got a book called Find Your Why. And I want to take a moment to just watch a short 5-minute video on him breaking down these 3 chambers of the brain that we just shared. These 3 chambers of the brain where he's going to tell you the difference of how people are able to access that limbic section of their brain versus how many are not able to because they just haven't taken the time to understand what it is. So let's watch the video. Make sure your volumes are up.
I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right. Because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal?
All right. So, how was that? Did everybody enjoy that? I love that video. Now, that video goes for a lot longer than that 5 minute. That was just a 5-minute segment of that presentation. But you heard him actually refer to that core part of our brain as limbic, right? So that was that why. When a lot of people usually think why comes from the heart. And you heard him say when somebody maybe says, hey, I have this investment opportunity, Tony, I think you should look at it, like look at the return. And maybe somebody's told you about some opportunity before and you like what you see, but you just have this weird gut feeling, or this feeling in your heart or feeling in your gut. It's not. It's coming from that center point of your brain that he was referring to. And how extraordinary was it to see the difference in the marketing approach of great companies versus not so great companies, right? I've always said, and this is just my own philosophy behind it, but he's even kind of saying it too, but I've always said that the key to marketing is inspiring eyes and ears. And a lot of people's issue when it comes to marketing for their own brand or what they do for a living is they don't think there's anything inspirational behind it. So their marketing has no inspiration. They don't have any passion in it. And now he just showed you the difference of all these different computer companies, yet why is Apple referred to as the best? It's because of their approach coming in from their why instead of their what. So an example would be as an agent, as a real estate agent, you're going through all these different pages of a magazine, right? It's a real estate magazine. And you're just looking at agent after agent after agent, and they're all saying what they do, right? I'm a real estate agent. I'm the number one in my marketplace. I know inventory like the back of my hand. I won this award. I've done this. I have this. I have that. I can do this. No one else can. That was all what. And every single ad you see says what people do, what people do, what people do. But imagine if on page 26, there was some gorgeous photo of a gorgeous landscape or a sunset or a horizon. And then there was a photo of a woman down at the bottom with her information. But right there in the horizon of this gorgeous double page spread, it says in quotes, every morning when I wake up, I'm able to self-reflect and come to the realization that I get to do what very few people get to do and help people achieve one of the greatest things that they can achieve in life by being able to have the American dream and truly own a home and show people how anyone can do it. And this is why I wake up every morning and I believe what I do is changing people's lives for the better. So that's what he was saying right there, is the difference of coming from your why and your passion versus just what you do. And it's not just companies, it's leaders, right? It's the way we approach just our own day-to-day, not just our company's approach in marketing. It's just the way we approach life. Example, do you think Martin Luther King Jr. was the only black man in his era trying to stop racism? Right? Was he the only person standing in front of churches or audiences trying to end racism? No, he wasn't. There were 100. But why was he the only one that had thousands and thousands of human beings who would walk for days with nothing to their name? They would walk over state lines to get to one of his presentations or symposiums. Why was he the difference? Because he came from that inner core of his brain. One of the greatest people to ever walk this earth, Martin Luther King Jr., he came, though, from that center point of his brain. Everything that he said was, I believe, I have a dream, believe, 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 which is such a powerful word. That's where he came from. He would spend 8 hours speaking on stage and never once using the word racism. He only spoke about equality and the human race. He didn't speak about different races within. He spoke about human equality, which is what any of us should be our viewpoint when it comes to this small rock that we're all floating on in the middle of nowhere. So it's when we come from that inner place that is significantly going to change our life. Now, also in my scripts, in my coaching, my scripts that some of my one-on-one coaches have gained, as well as you all will gain when there's a presentation or a session that one of my scripts goes with, then we will send you these scripts. However, just in my own language when talking to other clients, do I kind of come from this inner part of my brain, that core part? And maybe that is why we are able to go up against other agents and beat them. Maybe it is really just at the end of the day, that core part of the brain. Example, to conclude, when speaking to somebody on the phone, to conclude everything I just said and all the different things that we can do, and speaking to them like this, see the difference in my tone of voice? I'm speaking with passion. I'm locking them in. I'm attracting them to become my client. And then to end everything that I'm going to do for them with, and I believe that when I come to your house next Wednesday afternoon and show you how I do this, you will see that it was the most invaluable 60 minutes you've ever spent with a real estate agent in your life. And that's when we'll hear things like, all right, hotshot, whatever you say, come and prove it to me. But it's locked them. So I don't believe in the word script. I can't stand the word script because then people think it's something that they can just read on the phone. No, I believe in language. See, the inner part of our brain is going to make whatever we're saying a language of sales, not the language of sales books that you've all read, just the language in how we speak every day is what is going to also lead to significant success. Speak with passion. Know what you're saying. Never read. And you should never even memorize a script. Memorize a script, you're going to sound like you're reading it. You should believe in what you're saying. If you don't believe in what you're saying, it won't work. That's why the same 30 people who memorized the same script from the same multiple week course that they all went to, where the same instructor said, get out there and do this, and they all leave the exact same message on somebody's voicemail who just expired on their listing. Because none of them even believe what they're saying. None of them are trying to stand aside from their competition. They're all just standing with their competition. They're not doing anything differently. So come from that passion. All right, so let's talk about finding your why. Right? Let's talk about when we're creating a mindset of mastery, how do we develop our why? Right? Knowing that we have this amazing, powerful brain in our head. Well, it starts with many people that I've seen in the past, they think they know their why. Right? It's one of the first things I ask for one-on-one coaching clients. In the first 30 days we're even working together. What is your why? And they'll tell me. I would actually say, first, let's go over the stats, because this is kind of scary, is less than 5% know their why. So for every, I would say, 20 people that I ask this question to, one person knows their why. It's not very many at all. Now, the other 95%, they think they know their why. And almost always the 5% who tell me a true why, where I even see that it's a why, they're almost always in the top 5% of success in their industry. See, so it comes down to, do you have a good reason, or is it truly a great why? Or is it just a good reason? Give you an example of this. Your own child. Let's say you're a parent. I want to create a legacy for my children. That one I hear all the time as somebody's why. That's a good reason you want to create a legacy for your children. The question is, why do you want to create a legacy for your children? Why? Was it something from your past? See, you can't just come up with good reasons. You have to know why it's the reason, not just, well, it's my children. What's fueling that? A why comes from very deep within. Sometimes it comes from thinking about things we have tried to block out or that we want to forget. but we actually will develop a true great why if we embrace just for a moment to develop the why. It fuels us to take action beyond anything else. Nothing is more powerful than knowing your why and approaching your day every day with your why. Nothing. Nothing will fuel you more to take action every single day than your why. So how do you help yourself find it? I'll give you an example of another agent who I helped develop their why. She came to me and I said, okay, so and we're going to call this agent Jane. Just keep her name off the record. We call this agent Jane. And I said, Jane, what's your why? And she goes, Tony, I'm 46 years old and I want to be able to retire from real estate in 9 years by the age of 55 and truly be able to retire with enough wealth to be able to spend whatever amount of time I want with my family and travel and being able to be there to support my children and their children at a level that is undeniable. And that is what's fueling me, because I have to do everything I'm doing right now in order to achieve early retirement and be there to support my family at that level. And she's got a great smile on her face, and she's just so excited because she's been really thinking about this for 2 or 3 weeks. When I had asked her, what's your why? Develop your why. And after she was done giving me that beautiful statement, I said, awesome. What's your why though? She said, excuse me? I said, what is your why? I just told you. No, that's a good reason. Retiring early to be there for your family with enough money in the bank so that you don't have to work anymore. That's an amazing reason, and it'll fuel you to a degree. Why do you want to retire early? Because I don't want to work until I'm 80. Why? Because who would want to work until they were 80? There's quite a few people, actually. Shoot, one of the agents who I've coached in the past has been one of the top 1% agents in all of Los Angeles, and she's 80. What, you're too good for it? You think she does it because she can't retire? She could have retired 25 years ago. She just does it because she loves the game, she says. She just loves this game. It keeps her who she is. So what, you're too good for that? You don't think you should work till you're 80? It's because you don't want to. So why do you not want to? Because my parents worked until they were 80. Why? Because we grew up in a very poor village in Iran. And my father actually died at the age of 84 at work, and I couldn't be there. Why? Because they sent me to America when I was in my teens to have a better life. So I was here living this life and couldn't even be there for that day. And that is why, if anything, if I can retire early and I have enough money, I want to be able to go back to Iran and build houses for the village that I grew up at, where my family still lives to this day, and cousins and uncles and aunts. And I want to be able to build them homes. And she's crying, and I said, boom, there's your why. That's a why. And then I said, and Jane, guess what? You're never going to achieve any of that and build one single house in Iran if you don't get your ass in gear now and have $2 million sitting in a bank account that is titled what you want to do somewhere in another country. It's actually a bank account you've designated just for it. Has nothing to even do with your retirement. You might retire early because you're working so hard, but you're never going to build one single house if you don't get going right now. And now this woman, over the last, good grief, couple years, has had a fuel, and she is going to achieve it. She has crushed it because she finally knows her why. That's all she thinks about when she wakes up in the morning. That is the difference of a good reason versus a why. So what did I do there? How did I help her get to that? How am I going to help all of you truly get to your why? I want you to just be an annoying 4-year-old to find your true why. That's all you have to do. I'm making it so simple. Be that annoying 4-year-old that just keeps asking one word. Why? Right? Why? 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 And you'll get to the real why. Just by doing that. No matter how complicated it gets, no matter how crazy you want to pull your hair out, just keep doing it to yourself. Why? 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 Like an annoying 4-year-old does to their parents. Dad, why is the sky blue? Why is it light blue? Well, it's not. It's pitch black. It's just blue looking during the day when the sun is out. Why? Because the sun is really bright, so it reflects off the blue ocean of Earth, and it is so bright that you can't see the darkness of space. Kind of like when you turn the light on in your room and it's no longer dark. You can't see that it's just black space anymore because you have light. So it just makes it look like there's a sky that's blue, but it's not. Why? Because the sun is really bright. Why? Because it's a big ball of fire. Why? Because that's what keeps us warm. Why? Because if we weren't warm, we'd die of being, see that? It's just why? Why? I know some of you were getting annoyed just now. Why? Well, what did I do with Jane? Why do you want to retire early? Because I don't want to work till you're 80. Why? Because my parents worked. Why? Because we came from a port. Why? So just be that annoying 4-year-old to yourself and keep asking yourself that question over and over again. So we've been going over it all, right? And I know some of you are asking, all right, so what is your why, Tony? What is your why? Well, my why is to show any and all that I can that once you take this approach to life, it will become even more extraordinary. And what approach am I talking about? Is to show any and all that I can. Stop trying to prove the wrong people wrong and focus on proving the right people right. See, I used to think that my why was because I had a chip on my shoulder throughout my entire life by the way I was raised, and I just always wanted to prove everybody wrong. Prove them wrong, prove them wrong, prove them wrong. The problem with going about your life this way, first, I will be honest with you, it is a fuel that it does work. We all, even deep down, even everybody on this call today, we like proving people wrong because that usually means it's someone who was negative towards us or somebody who didn't believe in us. And then we showed them they were wrong. But the problem is it's usually a negative thing. We're usually like, yeah, got you. Take that. And the issue is, yes, it fueled me. I had this chip on my shoulder for years. Sometimes I still even think I do to a degree. Not at the level I used to, that's for sure. But it was only up until a few years ago that I realized that I'm never going to be satisfied if I always just focus on proving the wrong people wrong. And the reason for that is we become just like the people who don't believe in us. See, we start to not believe in ourselves. Even though we're proving them wrong, we keep giving ourselves limits. So it was almost like the guy who said, you can't write a book, so I proved him wrong. Oh, but it won't sell, so I proved him wrong again. Oh, but it'll never get published, so I proved him wrong again. Oh, it'll probably never become a bestseller now, so I proved him wrong again. But ladies and gentlemen, he wasn't the one who was saying you can't publish it or you can't make it a bestseller. It was after he said the first one, you can't write a book, and I did. He probably thought to himself, I'm never going to doubt Tony again. But then I was the one that said, oh, now he probably thinks that I can't publish it. Oh, now he probably doesn't think it'll ever sell. Oh, now he probably doesn't think it'll be a bestseller. Oh, now he probably doesn't think I can write a second book or a third book or a fourth book or a fifth book. I'm doing it to myself when he actually might even not even be doubting me. So a few years ago, I started realizing we'll never be satisfied if we do that. So my why is to help people prove the right people right. See, we already know the naysayers. We already know they're wrong. There's no reason to prove them wrong. We already know they're wrong. So focus on proving the right people right. Who are the right people in our life, right? Focus on the right ones. Maybe it was your parent or parents. Those people who believed in you. Son, you can do anything you want, right? Maybe it was grandparents. We all have different people that might have been in our life who were the right ones, not the wrong ones. They actually said you could do it. Maybe it was a close family member. Maybe it was a close friend, right? Maybe it was our first mentor or our coach who helped us. Hint, hint. Not saying, it's me, but I mean, it might be. But again, maybe it was a mentor or coach who knew we could do whatever we wanted and whatever goal we had set. Or maybe it was the one person that is more right than all of these people. Hands down. No one comes close to this individual. And this individual, I know for a fact, believes you can achieve anything you want. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? This person is right. And that person is self-reflection. That person is you. You are the one that should be looking in the mirror and proving yourself right over and over and over again. See, you actually have a mirror, ladies and gentlemen. It's called a self-reflection mirror. And you can write on it with a marker. Doubt, negativity, things that people may have said to you. I know great mentors and people who are very successful who actually have a mirror that they call their self-reflection mirror and write on it like this. I've also personally written on whiteboards these statements. I've written them on windows of my office. But it's called You Are the One That's Right. Don't worry about what others are saying. And this actually comes from a blog from a woman who is a yoga instructor. She's been on TV personality. If you took a selfie of your soul, would it be good enough to post? So we're the ones that we need to be proving our own selves right time and time again, because I know you believe in yourself. And then the why will just fuel you. So at the end of the day, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, develop your why as I have. Dig down deep and have a strong mindset to achieve that why, and watch what happens with your business and your personal life. Stop trying to prove the wrong people wrong and focus on proving the right people right is my why, and helping people approach life like this. You find out your why now. All right. Q&A as always. I hope you enjoyed today, and ask away. I'm looking forward to reading some of your messages. And if you don't mind, if you feel like paying it forward or at all, I would love for you to maybe save this photo, or you can find it online and post online how you have been enjoying Rise Group Coaching and what you've been getting out of it. Post on your personal Facebooks or your Instagrams, your LinkedIn, wherever you like to post, but just make sure you tag me in it if you don't mind, so I can see it and give you a shout out too for taking the steps necessary to change your life as well. I'll comment if you tag me online. All right, so Q&A. What do we got here today? Now let's go back to a few things on what we were talking about earlier regarding LinkedIn. You guys, I'll just say a few of those because that was this morning, or that was earlier in the session when I asked you how you've been implementing the past. So I have been working on updating my profile and LinkedIn page and getting a lot of traction. Awesome. Have achieved intermediate level on LinkedIn and now have over 600 connections. Beautiful. Again, just like Facebook and your friend page, I've told everybody you should have a minimum of 2,000 connections on LinkedIn as well. And of course, you can be connected with as many realtors or people in your same industry as you want, but it's when we start connecting with people outside of our profession and really get many of those connections on our LinkedIn that we can see, significant production come out of it with some of the things that I taught you in before. What's something that has helped you get through your most difficult times when you felt at rock bottom? That's a great question. I will say that one of the rounds, remember I said each of those 5 moments of my life have about 5 rounds. And there's moments that I've had in the last couple years, and there's moments I'm going to have in the next few years. But right now, those are the 5 main moments that changed or defined me, per se, that have led to where it's led to my achievements or the things that I've been able to enjoy in my life over the last, I'd say, 10 years, all came from those 5 critical moments of my life. Otherwise, the last 10 years of success would probably not have happened, in that success personally in life and success business in life. That being said, how did I overcome when I felt I hit rock bottom is, I do remember something my mom would tell me. One sec. Okay, sorry. But she always said, even towards the end, when she passed away, she said, "Son, I already know you're going to do great things. Start realizing it yourself." Right? So she always believed in the power of the mind and having that positive mindset. I would further that and say that there was one of the rounds of losing everything was one day I was standing in I had lost everything. I had this little phone booth bathroom with a little phone booth shower and a little toilet with a little pedestal sink versus all the homes that I'd had before. And I had lost everything. I had no money to my name. I was trying to get these 2 loans done. This is before I switched to the sales side. And you can hear about this further on my podcast. But I was shaving, and I was in a towel. I had just got out of the shower, and I was just doing some touch-up shaving on my face. And my phone buzzed, and 2 loans back to back that I was trying to get closed that were only a couple days away from closing, which were really going to help me out, both got kicked out by the underwriters last minute, even though we were told that they were good to go. And it was several thousands of dollars that I really needed. I was behind on rent, just horrible. And I remember when those 2 loans back to back, it was the same text, same paragraph that my processor sent me. I looked in the mirror and I grabbed the sink with anger. I had just kind of grabbed the 2 sides of my pedestal sink and I kind of shook it. And it literally ripped off the wall from the silicone seal. And I slipped because I was in a towel and it was a little wet. And I slipped and fell back and hit my head and my tailbone. And because it shook the wall as I'm slipping, the medicine cabinet broke off the wall, hit the ground, and shattered. The mirror shattered. And I remember saying a couple things out loud that we won't say right now. And then to my right, there was this one piece of mirror that was sitting up in the corner of this little bathroom. And I'm sitting there naked now at this point, and still shaving cream on my face, red eyes because I'm mad and I'm also sad. And there's this one mirror and it was perfectly angled at my face. And I remember what I saw in that reflection, and that was the game-changing moment for me. That was the moment where I said, you know what, Tony? That was your moment. Get up. None of this is going to change unless you do something about it, right? Who's always right? We are. So I knew I had to make the change. I couldn't rely on anyone else anymore. I had to stop saying, woe is me. Why did this happen to me? Get over it. Move on. life is short. We have got to keep moving forward and focus on the positive and focus on the right and be grateful for what we have. And so I believe that, to answer your question, is always going to be the thing that determines how we respond to if it is something like rock bottom or whatever it might be. And I hope that helps. Tony, this call was unbelievable. I needed this call. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. I have been working hard on updating my LinkedIn profile. So grateful for all the information you shared with us. Excited to get my connections up to 2,000. How often, if at all, has your why changed? I feel like mine has been constantly changing and feel like it's hard to define sometimes. I believe your why can change. I do believe segments of your why can change, but the overall why, once you've hit some level of adulthood and a career, then it doesn't change much. So your why will change with those moments, right? So my why, if I had one at the age of 7, would have probably been fueled mostly by abandonment, and its main focus would have been, I'm never going to do this to my kids or whatever it might be. So I think that once you're past those 5 main moments of life that define us, your why won't change. My why really hasn't changed over the last few years. And again, it was very close for the last 10 years. It wasn't much different. It's just I kind of added that new segment of proving the right people right. That's my why. One of the another great why that I have heard in the past, and a woman who is also very dear to me and a very close friend who I mentored for a long time, whose name is Sam. Sam is transparent. She'll tell anybody her why. But I remember when, I asked her, develop your why, and I want to know what your why is. She came back with, to always be available to anyone financially, mentally, or spiritually. And mentally is also physically. So financially, physically, and spiritually. Meaning, I want to know that I am available to anyone who needs financial help. If I choose to help that person financially, I just want to know that I have the availability to make myself available to them, or the ability to make myself available to them financially. Or if someone needs help moving, that I physically take care of myself to be able to still help this person physically. Spiritually, if they're lacking in faith or they need help in believing in something larger, I want to make myself available to help them be better spiritually. And when you really define it, it's a spectacular why. But to answer your question, I don't think it's changed many or much over the past few years. And I hope that helps. I think it changes until you surpass those 5 main moments. And you may have already surpassed those 5 main moments. So yeah, if that helps you. What are the best ways to share your why through social media? I wouldn't just say through social, I would just say through life. Don't just think of it as social media, because if you know how to share it through your life, when you're talking to people, then you should know how to share it through social media. Why? Because social media is the same as being face-to-face, as I say. You're in a room with those people. So if you have the opportunity to share your why to all 913 friends of yours on Facebook, or 3,000 friends you have on Facebook, like if you were able to get them all in a room just to share your why, you would share it, and share it brilliantly, probably, if you know what it is. So then what's stopping us from sharing that why online? Can your why change over time, or is it something that we have dead inside and never change? Again, I think that goes with the thing. I think whys will change throughout the moments of our life. But overall, it's usually going to be set in stone probably by later adulthood, careers, children, life experience. I can't imagine it changing much after that. First time listener, first time caller. I love that saying. LinkedIn is over 3,000 connections. Can you tell me where to find the episode that you talk about using this site as leverage, please? And thank you. My staff will send that to you. You can also go to previous sessions post categories in the Facebook group. So there's posts that are entitled previous sessions. And when you click that button, it'll open up past links. And then, of course, you all have access to it in emails and stuff like that. But if you're not, just reach out to my staff. They'll give you the right directions on how to. And that one was just 2 weeks ago, the LinkedIn one. So that'll be one of the latest past sessions that you see. Let's see here. Oh, and Nick actually answered you. Hey, Chris, I'll be posting it in the Facebook group later today. On a side note, I believe laughter helps us in life. In regards to losing it all, did you ever happen to see the 2005 movie Fun with Dick and Jane? Yes, I did. And I wholeheartedly agree with you about laughter. I remember laughing about that reflection in the mirror a couple days later when I was brushing my teeth with no mirror because I couldn't pay for a new medicine cabinet yet. And I didn't want to tell my landlord because I was now a month behind on rent that, oh, I need my medicine cabinet replaced and the pedestal sink fixed. So I was brushing my teeth and I remember just laughing in the camera of my phone because that's what I was using as a mirror was I was brushing my teeth in my phone and I just started laughing hysterically. So yes, I did see the movie and I do feel that laughter helps us with life. It also helps us with healing when we're sick. And the more you laugh, you know, the better life is. That's what wrinkles come from. Wrinkles are an indication that you laughed a lot, right? Can you forward the why quote so I can post? Sure. We'll upload my why in the Facebook group. And thank you very much for thinking about that. Thank you. Once again, thank you so much. Okay, well, a lot of thank yous. I don't see any other questions, but if I missed one, again, that's what the group is for. Just don't hesitate to go in there and ask away. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today. I enjoyed it immensely. This is one of my favorite topics, and I love going deep with this stuff. And usually this presentation, I can go into 3 hours worth and really dig down deep. But I hope you enjoyed today and have an amazing and very successful day, week, for the next 2 weeks, and we'll let you know if there's any changes to the next session. I don't believe there is because it does not fall on one of the major holidays coming up. So happy holidays, and we will talk to you soon.